Hi, Andrea St. Amand. So I'm going to tackle something that's been on my mind for the last couple of days, but it's taken me until this morning to get my thoughts kind of straight on it and to figure out I wanted to talk about it. My thoughts still aren't straight; they never are. So as part of these videos are about figuring out what I'm thinking about. But so what I had asked you all was, how are you choosing to experience your existence? Because our perception of things, our perspective of things is everything, and yet our perspective is only our own, so it's inherently limited. So I just want to put that in the back of your mind, and give you like some examples and then go a little bit deeper on that, on why we're even talking about this today. um, a great example is a lawsuit, right? Somebody files a complaint or the government files some sort of document that's alleging a crime, and you read it and you're like, oh my gosh, if it's if it's a well-written document, it's going to be devoid of emotion at all. So it's just going to be the facts, and those facts are going to be enough alone to just hit you in the gut, and you're reading this, you're like, oh my gosh, this sounds terrible. This person is awful. They did something bad and wrong. Then you read what the defense files, and you're like, oh, same facts, different perspective. Exactly the same facts, right? Which one's right? Neither. Neither are ever right. And that's one thing that people in a lawsuit get so frustrated about. And the truth is that neither are right. Neither is an absolute right. There is usually, otherwise they wouldn't be in a lawsuit. They would have settled it before they ever had to hire a fancy lawyer, right? So somehow we're conditioned with buying into duality and that idea of there's this or you're that. And if you're not this, you're not, you're that. You're either good or you're bad. You're, gay or you're straight, or you're this, there's so much this or that. You're either a Christian or you're not. You're either a Muslim or you're not. There's just this like box way of thinking. And I understand that is an easier way of going through life. If you're like, okay, I'm in my box. I know what my box is. And now my box is going to get on this lane, and there's my path. Now I don't have to think. So I get that. I get why that has developed in our society. But, it's just not the way it is. Sorry, I took notes so I could actually get my way through this. Um, we see this, of course, not just in religion and other things. We see it in politics, but we also see it in spirituality. And people tend to use the word spirituality to encompass something broader than religion. And yet I see all the time people wanting certainty in spirituality. They're wanting this, here's a rule about ghosts. There's no rules on ghosts. There's like, here's a rule on this, here's this. So the best I can do is like, figure out what my perception is and constantly try to expand it and expand it and expand it and test myself. And then once I have my framework, get the best skills I possibly can so I can help people. But I might be wrong. I might be totally wrong. None of us have access to the ultimate truth. None of us do. That is one fact we can all agree on. Nobody has access to the ultimate truth. So we have to be open that somebody we really disagree with actually might be right for them. Might not be right for you, might not be right to you, but it might be right for them. It might be working for them. Even if you can see from your standards and your judgment that it doesn't work for them, maybe it is, maybe it does. So I'll give you a few more stories with this. So last night, part of me started thinking about this because a friend of mine who's actually in this group, I don't know if she's on this video yet, but she mentioned last week that she was listening to this quantum physics professor, and he's supposed to be a professor in metaphysics, quantum physics. I mean, to me, I don't know the ins and outs of metaphysics, quantum physics, but it's a pretty open-minded science, right? It's not the linear thinking. It's like, wow, there's all these possible realities out there and blah, blah, blah. Well, this professor got on this talk show and was so dogmatic. He was so dogmatic that my friend started getting mad because he was absolute that he was correct. He was like, this is this and that is that, and there is no afterlife, and there's none this and there's no that, and he was just dogmatic. And it's like, well, how do you know? How do you know that? But if that belief is working for him, who are we to say, I don't know. Just because I've talked to people who've passed on, I don't know for rock solid sure where I'm getting that information. And it kind of, I think in society, we get so caught up in who's right and who's wrong, when really that's not the point. The point is, are we healing ourselves and are we healing each other? And is it working in such a way that our existence on this planet right now is improving and improving and improving? Are we becoming a more full expression of our authentic selves? Are we doing the best we can do at any given moment for us, not necessarily by other people's standards? That's kind of all that matters. Right? I mean, all of our frameworks might be wrong. I don't know. But if it's working and it's making, if it's helping me give people a more meaningful existence here, let's go with it. Let's try. And when I work with people, my goal is not to turn you into me. My goal is not to make you believe everything I believe, because you're going to have a different set of experiences. My goal is to give you maybe a different perspective on those experiences, or a different, coach you through something you're going through, so you have tools to be a better you, not to be like me and follow down my path. And a great example of that, going back to the law firm, a great example of that, or a lawsuit, is that when you're a lawyer and you're involved in a lawsuit, you are entering into a long-term relationship with your clients, because lawsuits aren't fast. So when you work with your clients over the course of a year and a half, 2 years, 5 years, I've had cases going for 5 years and longer. You have time to coach your client through, okay, this is where we came into this. This is all the evidence we had. But wait, what do you think about this angle? Oh, now there's this new evidence. Now there's this witness over here saying something different. You start to shift your perspective till by the very end of the lawsuit, you're in a different spot than when you started out. So clients shift over time as the perspective is shifting. So all of us have the same, we can all do the same. The other story I wanted to tell you, not just about the quantum physics professor, but about ghost stories. A lot of you guys know I love ghost stories and I tell ghost stories. I have my own storytelling kind of thing I do on the side in addition to the spiritual work. But I started off working for a company here in town that goes into the graveyards. They do all like this kind of traditional stuff. And when they're really busy, I love to help them out every now and then. But the cool thing is, when I go help them out, nobody knows who I am. When people are coming to me directly, they're coming to me because they've been all over my website. They see everything I do. They're wanting a different kind of story. When I go work for this other company, I'm just this girl that I don't even remember my name by the end. So they can put all kind of, beliefs on me. And my sole goal in telling a ghost story is to get people's imaginations expanded, get them out of that everyday box that we all fall into, but get out of that little box and get your imagination going and start raising some questions. So every story I tell has a metaphysical question I'm trying to get in there without preaching to them. And I always ask a question at the end of the stories. Well, what about this, or what about that? And some people they have the answer to the story, or they've got they have a definite opinion. And I'll always say well, I don't know the answer. The point of this is to just raise the question, because I don't have access to the answer actually. So at the end of this tour last night, this woman who had been so sweet, had serious health issues, had problems walking, which I'm not sure why people sign up for a walking tour that's going to drag you all over town in heat, terrible heat, through alleys and cobblestone streets in the dark when you've got health issues and you can't walk. But she did. She had a really good attitude about it, though. She kept saying, "You don't have to wait on me." And I just managed to get to the very end. Everybody else is left. She's staying, and she says, "I have a question for you." And I'm like, "Sure," expecting some ghost question, right? Or some experience that maybe she's had. And she said, "I just want to know, do you accept Christ as your one true Savior?" And my lawyer brain is like, that's not a yes or no question for me, because I don't agree with the premise of your question. And of course, I couldn't tell that to this woman. I couldn't say, my perception is so different from yours that I don't even agree with your premise. So I don't know where to start. So what I ended up doing right there on the street corner, I was like, oh my gosh, I can talk with you about Christ all day long. And then we were off and running. We had actually a beautiful, lovely spiritual conversation that maybe expanded her perception a little bit. Maybe it didn't, but it actually ended up being quite nice. So we are presented with so many opportunities to pick one side or the other. And when you do, and we'll tend to fall into them, right? We'll tend to see no, that's wrong, this is right. No, I don't agree with that, I agree with this. And yet, if you can kind of sidestep that, if you find yourself going in there and you sidestep it and maybe think, actually, let me test out where am I coming at this? So it's not just black or white. It's not just, maybe there's some gray area, maybe there's some purple area over here. Then you're opening your mind, you're challenging your own perception. And another thing I'll just throw in, a lot of things about perspectives and perceptions are stuff that runs through your head every day that past experiences have put in there that you might not even know you're doing. It might be subconscious, but common ones are, I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. Oh, I can't speak out or I'm going to sound stupid. Or I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't. So notice every time you're doing that. Another one is, I'll never have enough money. I'll never have enough money. Or I'll never be healthy. I'll never be one of those healthy people. I'll never be that. I'll never be. Nah, nah, nah. Catch where you're saying that, because it's just a matter of perspective. It really is just a matter of shifting perspective, which it's almost impossible to do by yourself. It absolutely is. So definitely let me help you if what I say resonates with you, because you're working with through energetic readings, working on any type of reading, and then some follow-up can really shift and change your belief system, your perspective on yourself, which might not be accurate. It might be very limited and limiting, particularly you empaths out there, myself included, when we're like, oh my gosh, I'm too sensitive. I'll never be able to do that. I can't go out of the house. I can't do this. I can't do that because the sensitivity is going to overwhelm me. We can change that crap right now, so you're living a more healthy, more abundant life. Let me check my notes, make sure I don't want to leave anything off. Oh yeah, I did want to tell you one thing. So in a reading yesterday, I had the coolest message given to me. I was giving a mediumship reading actually to this woman, and I start describing the man. I'm convinced this is a teacher. This is one of her own spiritual gurus. And she kind of took that metaphorically, and she's like, oh, that's my uncle. And I was like, well, no, I don't think you're right. So I kept going, no, it's my uncle. She was absolutely certain I had her uncle. And I kept having to give her more evidence until I was like, it's not your uncle. I was like, it's not your uncle. It's your spiritual guru who's passed over. And he's there. He's like, he came in for me? Oh, my, yeah, he came in for you. Yes, and he has a big message for you, but it's also a message for all of us. He said, a spiritual journey is a journey into the mind. A spiritual journey is a journey into the mind. And he kept going like this. And I was like, whoa, we tend to think like our mind gets in the way or our ego or that, but it's all part of this journey. So our spiritual journey is all part of like going into our mind. What are we thinking? What are our limiting beliefs? What are we stuck on? And usually it takes somebody else coming from the inside to tell us that. So yeah, if you want to work with me, I'm going to turn you into your best you, not me. Don't worry, you're not going to end up sitting on a couch talking at a video screen and people on the internet unless you want to, and then I'll help you with that too. All right. Whew, yeah. Ask any questions below, or we can do a follow-up on this one because this is kind of like heady stuff, and I just wanted to start getting my thoughts out on it. Okay, so pay attention everywhere you find yourself getting caught in duality. Pay attention when you get wrapped up in somebody else's circus and think, well, maybe their circus is working for them. Maybe there's a monkey in that circus that you could bring over to your circus. You never know. Okay. All right. Talk with you guys later. Bye.